Speaking of looking forward, let's look back at The Boys season one and then talk about the newest episodes that dropped, the first three of season two. We didn't talk about The Boys when they dropped. Heard a lot about it. Heard a lot of good things about the show. We caught up this past weekend, or at least I did. I think you were already caught up by this weekend. Dave, just give me your general thoughts on The Boys season one, and then I want to kind of parlay that into where we're at with season two at this point.
Yeah, I liked Boys season one a lot. I came to it late, which I think a lot of people kind of came to it late, at least like people like critically minded, because you get the pitch, right? Oh, superhero TV show from a established IP. Wow, heard that before. That doesn't sell me like it might have sold me years ago, right? Superheroes the best thing going, right? Like it's the golden goose. So like that doesn't immediately grab me, right? But like people just really rode for a very consistent, warm reception to the show, and The Boys season one is memorable and good because I think it just does things unlike other uh, shows, movies in the genre, right? I mean, the grisly ultra violence stands out, but I do feel like it's actually earned because this is a show that's committed to being dark and committed to having like a nihilistic point of view. Not always the most fun thing to watch, but it always makes sense. And I also think it's quite committed. You have a cast that all really kind of buy into their place in this story. So I think season one, that first episode in particular, I think that's a really good hook. Like if you watch season of episode one, you're probably either in or you're out. You can know right away. And in terms of just kind of a basic, kind of simple thought, right? What would happen if the Flash fucking ran through someone and murdered them?
Yep.
Or manslaughtered them, right? Like, how would you feel? What would that do to you? Like, it's a very simple idea, but it's not something that you've been explored that much, at least on the screen. So, yeah, I was immediately hooked, and I think season one is honestly really good.
And I think what it does that the Marvel movies don't always get to, like I think they dance around this concept, but they don't really get to, is how a lot of times these superheroes, though some are gifted with the powers, a lot of times the other ones are have it thrust upon them. You know, you think about Captain America. Steve Rogers wants to be the super soldier and volunteers for that. But then really the only thing we see of the conflict for him in this is that he lives forever and the people he cares about die. And eventually that changes as he goes back in time. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Infinite or the Endgame. But yeah, I really think the idea of what does it mean to like be a superhero in this world where these powers are given to you by your parents or you're created in a lab is a lot more interesting than like Superman comes from another planet and that's a bit played out. And I feel like that kind of character development helps me to understand the actual villains of the show, which I feel like most people are pretty somewhere in the middle in the show, which I think is also great. The characterization, it all makes sense to me, and I think they go pretty deep on most characters. But someone like Homelander, who is just totally devoid of any sort of nurture or love in his life, it kind of shows why he would be this narcissistic sociopath, and psychopath, and like having these godlike powers has led him to just be this incredibly cruel being, who's manipulating and controlling everything in his life because that's how he felt, and then kind of bringing Aya Cash's character into season two, which we're going to get to a little bit more in a second, I think is a great foil against that, as he's kind of like he has to kind of confront himself almost in a way in this other person. It's pretty interesting. I also really liked how they had the dynamic of the non-superhero people who are kind of like the villains, so to speak, in the first way, Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, right, but are actually like the good guys, and like that dynamic I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Homelander is honestly a really terrifying villain. And again, like you said, feels really earned. You understand why he is the way he is, but also the show does a really good job of just kind of highlighting some basic tension about like, if you're like going up against this dude, like odds are you're fucked, and I think it did a good job of like explaining reasons why Homelander didn't just immediately find them and murder them all, you
Hmm.
know. But and like the whole thing about the Seven and the Voight Corporation or Vought Corporation,
Yep.
about how superheroes are an industry that can be
Hmm.
haggled and withheld over people, and it's all a brand, and like it's everything, you know. It's like if Amazon had superheroes, right? It's like it's again, it's a simple premise, but the show does it in such a committed way from the jump that it all just really makes sense. And it's just honestly, like, again, it's a dark world, but I think it's a world that's really, interesting to be in. So,
Hmm.
and it's funny because like you look at the superheroes, right? It's like, okay, we have evil Superman and Wonder Woman and Flash and
Hmm.
Aquaman, and I guess Starlight's like Supergirl. Like,
Hmm.
like you have obvious analogs to more famous superheroes, but like again, like that's not really the point of the show. So
Right.
I find it really really fun.
No, I think it's great, and I actually think having like the main characters who are obviously Homelander, Starlight, Huey,
Hmm.
um, the Butcher, those are like the four that's centered around. But then the side characters in this, I think about someone like the Deep, played by Chase Crawford, who the way his story develops,
Yeah,
he's kind of this. Me Too movement type of avatar about being on the one side of being the awful people who are using this power to
hmm,
victimize and
yeah,
brutalize sexually women and other people, but then has it happen to him and like how he's dealing with his own mental health issues related to that. Or you have someone like the Flash or A
A
Train,
Train.
the
Hmm.
speedster, who is kind of like this performance enhancing drugs, like and
Yeah,
the pressure of pro
right.
sports like
Can't become
avatar,
washed.
right? So it's very, I think, interesting to see how these side characters kind of play out different issues that are highlighted in culture today. I think it's really smartly done because those keep my attention as B and C plots, but they don't ever, I feel like, take away from where the show is going. Um, just like out of curiosity, what characters do you find yourself liking the most, or like looking forward to seeing the most?
Uh, I guess Starlight's probably the most likable, the most like genuinely good
Hmm.
presence on the show. Um, Huey's not far off from that too, but of course he has killed now.
Yes.
Obviously translucent is no more.
Hmm.
Um, yes, I guess Starlight. Like Erin Moriarty had a small role in Jessica Jones season one. That's how I first knew about her. But I think she's really good presence on the show.
Hmm.
I do enjoy her a lot. And honestly, um, I forgot her name. The head of Vought who kind of
Yeah.
nurtured Homelander, quote unquote, in season one, who then he killed her at the end.
Hmm.
Kind of looks like Kim Dickens. They could definitely be sisters to
Yes.
me. I really liked her. I thought she was good, and kind of showing the office politics of the corporation and whatnot, and then
Yeah.
even playing off Giancarlo Esposito a little bit in the finale of season one. I liked her a lot as well.
Yeah, I agree. I was really disappointed actually when she was killed off, although I thought it made a lot of sense. I really like Kamiko, who is this like superhero who is kind of created by Homelander dropping this chemical or this chemical weapon throughout the world and
Yeah,
kind of thrust into these powers and then was like a super terrorist, so to speak, or working with this Chinese terrorist organization before she was
yeah.
captured. I thought that was just a really interesting storyline, and then how that kind
Hmm.
of starts to play out in the first three episodes of season two. I really love her arc so far.
Yeah, I think that's a really great, really again another intriguing idea the show presents. That, oh yeah, well, when you have this corporation that has such a stranglehold on society that's about to infiltrate the military, yeah, it makes sense that they also would create the supervillains. That way, they could keep the
Hmm.
forward momentum of their company and their power. It's like
Hmm.
another terrifying prospect, but it makes total sense.
Yep, absolutely. And also how they're like trying to work their way into the military industrial complexes. I think a
Hmm.
really cool like uh, underlying storyline in all
Yeah,
this. Um, All right, so season one, definitely. I think we both were pretty big fans. How have you liked the first three episodes of season two so far? I've seen mixed reception online.
I mean, yeah, I like it so far. I like that the dynamic has changed a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get off the head of the corporation. But I think more importantly, the boys are now openly, publicly known as fugitives. The Seven is actively seeking them out. Homelander, of
Mm-hmm.
course, at the front of that. I think that was an important and necessary choice. They couldn't be fighting back against the Seven in the shadows again. It would start to become implausible that Homelander and crew just didn't seek them out, right? And like A
Mm-hmm.
Train's incompetence let them off. It's like so that needed to change. And also, I Cash. She's of course a welcome presence. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in so far. I'm happy that the show is going to week for the remainder of the season because I think it's a show that is popular enough, and it's good that the conversation can be stretched out versus, of course, all of the season dropping at once like season one did.
Mm-hmm. I think the first three episodes are doing a lot of table setting for this season. Um, you know, Homelander with his son, and I guess the mother of the son. We'll say
Mm-hmm.
the butcher's wife.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting dynamic, and certainly something is going to come of that. I think the setup of like Huey versus the butcher, and them kind of each needing to like adapt a little bit of each other's thinking is a cool setup and something that you're seeing come to fruition already. But yeah, I think Aya Cash is the clear like standout to me in this. It seems like she's going to be this pain in the side of Homelander in some way. I'm sure that probably won't work out great for her, or they'll end up teaming up and be like this crazy supervillain duo. But I think that's really interesting. I do I am curious a bit about what's going to happen with A Train. It seems like he's having like some heart issues,
Mm-hmm.
or some health issues, and I'm also interested to see what happens with the Deep. I think a storyline I'm a little bit out on is Queen Mava or Queen Maeve.
Maeve, yeah. Yeah, I
Hasn't
agree.
totally grabbed me, but we'll see where that goes. Overall, a lot of table setting, but I'm still in, even if it's a little slower than
Mm-hmm.
last season.
So this show has already been ordered for season 3. I'll be curious to see how long the show keeps up with this like direct conflict between the boys and the Seven, because like there's already hints that some members of the Seven um, maybe wish they were better people than they have acted in the past. Maeve is probably the leader of that, but like how long will Vought
Hmm.
and the Seven be this kind of overtly uh, evil negative presence due to Homelander? I'm curious to see how long we keep that up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if the show will kind of steer into where a lot of superhero shows go or superhero IP go, where it's just like
Mm-hmm.
these huge CGI fuckfest, basically, or if it's
Right.
going to kind of keep down on that human level. Because it does seem like in order for the boys to be really staying a compelling and worthy opponent to Homelander, they're going to have to get some of the superheroes on their side to fight back against him. But I think that's going to lead to things just being these CGI fights that maybe
Sure.
aren't going to be as interesting. Gonna be cool to see how they kind of balance that. But if you have watched The Boys, drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. You can hit us up on Twitter at Nowstalgia Pod.